How's it going? How's it going, Henry? Hey, Henry, how's it going?
How's it going, man?
You doing all right?
Everything is great. Can't complain.
Yeah. How's this quarantine treating you?
That part I think I'll never get used to. I'll never get used to it, man.
Uh,
Yeah, it's something we're gonna have to deal with for the next few weeks. You know,
yeah.
I don't think the government itself is it's okay with how long it's taking. So if you ask me, man, eventually we're gonna go back to work with just mask and gloves and be very,
I
but that's what I see. I think we're gonna just go back to work with masks.
I think it's what I've been telling everybody. I don't think it's gonna get normal until they get that vaccine out. I mean, even though we're gonna be moving forward and going with our daily normal lives per se, nothing's gonna be normal for a while, man. And it's like you said, everybody's gonna be wearing masks, gloves. Nobody's gonna really want you to touch them. It's gonna be an interesting rest of the year.
Yeah, yeah. But we just gotta keep pushing, there's still business coming in, clients are buying, not at the same rate as before. So there's still a need. And hopefully this changes quick so that the ones that are afraid to invest or their job is not so secure, they feel more comfortable. You're letting your beard grow.
Yeah, man. um,
Nice.
I
Nice.
made a promise. I made a promise. So,
Okay. All right.
man, you got nothing to do during these quarantines. You come up with these.
With different stuff to keep yourself busy. I know.
Exactly. Exactly.
I
Definitely.
know.
We'll just let's just give it a few more minutes. Let some more
Yeah.
people come in, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, that works. That's fine. That's fine. How is everything going with you and your clients? Have you had a big drop on clients or
Well, obviously, from when all this got started, I had mentioned it to a couple of people. I had like two that were really ready to go, and they kind of put everything on hold. But I do have like 9 on the pipeline. They're not like hot, burning prospects, but they're warm. They told me that as soon as this clears up a little bit, that they do want to get started. So I actually had a conversation yesterday with a lady that I'm gonna after you're done, I'm gonna talk about it. But she's her daughter and her son-in-law want to buy. So
okay, that sounds good. I mean, yeah, it's just listen, if they have a job, if their credit has not been affected, if their savings have not been affected, I tell them, if those three check up between you and whoever lives in your household, that means you're one of the fortunate. What I would recommend is for you to get pre-approved. That's it. Get pre-approved, sit and wait, and see. Let's see what happens in the next few weeks. The pre-approval alone can take a couple of weeks. We already know that.
definitely.
So when you usually tell them that, I had a client that told me, "Oh, I want to wait," and today she's waiting on her offer to be signed. So she wanted to wait. She gets pre-approved. She decides to go, check out some houses and finds a house that she likes. Now she doesn't want to wait. So
I'm telling you.
I'm trying to do that approach. Let's get you pre-approved. Let's get you prepared, and let's just have you wait. And then all of a sudden, you start sending them homes, and they find the one home that they like, and they're like, "Listen, I'm not gonna wait."
Definitely.
So, in that case, it worked out perfectly.
Awesome.
And she works in the medical field, so she should be feeling comfortable and confident.
Definitely.
So the whole waiting part was just because everybody, like what everybody's saying, I'm afraid, or I'm gonna wait, or everybody's saying the same thing, even if they're still producing income, or in a case like her, she's actually working overtime now.
Exactly.
So there is just that they're afraid. So you take them baby steps, and it worked out for her. The
That's
models are still holding though.
that's mainly the main objective that I've always gotten, is that I'm afraid. It's a 30-year commitment, and that's what everybody is kind of afraid of. But
Yeah.
all right, so let's dive into it. Good morning, everyone. This is Henry Nin. He works for PRMG, and he's going to be our guest speaker. He's going to be talking to us about cold calling, following up on your prospects, and he's just going to give us advice on some of the things he's been hearing, and give us a few pointers. So Henry, take it away. It's all yours, man.
I didn't know you were going to put me on the spot right away. It When we think about cold calling and we think about objections, which is what the topic is today, we automatically think, the biggest fear of getting on the phone. We plan, we expect, and the first note that I'm going to give you guys is that we believe we're going to have the worst conversation ever before we even pick up the phone. You have 10 people to call, 20 people to call, 50 people to call, and you're automatically thinking the next person that answers the phone is going to curse at me, or is going to scream at me, or is going to ask me, well, who's this calling me? Why are you calling me? You have to think of the phone as you knocking on somebody's home. If you were knocking on somebody's home and they don't know you, they're going to ask you, why are you knocking on my door? Unless they physically have a sign outside saying, I'm selling my home, they just thought about it. You're basically coming in reading their thoughts. So think of the objections you're already going to get, which is what this topic is about. Write them down. That way, when you get on the phone and they give you this objection, you know it. You've already know what answer is the best answer to give, and always end every objection with understanding and then asking the question. I decided to stop. I want to see where the crisis is going. Automatically understand. I mean, sometimes even agree. Hey, I can definitely agree with you. Hold off right now. But let me ask you something. Why are you holding? What type of work do you do? Oh, is your job affected? Is your family affected? Oh my God, I'm sorry. I can definitely understand. You are probably going to have to wait a month or two before I get in contact with you again. You might get one of those, but you might get also someone that tells you, oh yeah, my industry is fine. I have a job and everything is fine. I'm just worried about the situation. I can definitely understand. I can definitely understand. I can see, and you go back to the questions that you actually kept track of, the information, the rebuttals that you have. What I'm doing with a lot of my clients so that they can qualify for the most amount of loan at the lowest interest rate, okay, is getting to ask questions, find out where they want to move in, what type of house are they looking for, so we can take advantage of the time. And then when everything goes back to normal or somewhat, you're going to be frontline. We all know that the best houses at the best prices in the best locations are the first ones to go. What do you want to take advantage of that? Okay, so let's use this time wisely. So it's just going back to the same thing. No matter what excuse they give you have to understand where they're coming from. In some cases, you might need to agree. And then from there on, you tell them what your best clients are doing, what you recommend. You're the expert, and that should be how you handle rebuttals. You're the expert. Sound assured. Tell them exactly what's really going on with some of your other clients. Which what I'm telling you is exactly what has gone on with some of my clients. They tell me they want to wait. All of a sudden, they get pre-approved, and now they're ready to buy. I found a house that I want to put an offer on. I'm like, wait a minute, you told me you were going to wait till this is, I found the house. Because yeah, their job is not being affected by this crisis. Whether they work in the medical field, they work in property management, there's a list of jobs out there that are not being affected, and if both husband and wife or the household is continuing to receive income, just get them to be pre-approved, tell them that they're going to wait, and we might see how the market turns out, but when we find the right opportunity, you'll be ready. That should be the main rebuttal. What are some of the things that you guys are coming up with that you might need help with? Please share, ask me questions, give me the worst case scenarios that you guys have had, and I'll try to help you as best as I can.
Now, before we open up the mics and all, like, can you give an example of some of the things that you're hearing besides the fact that that they are scared and I mean, like, can you elaborate a little bit more on the rebuttals that you're getting and how you overcome them?
It's probably going to be a little bit different from the lender side as opposed to from the realtor side. It will be kind of hard as a realtor, and I can understand that, for you to speak to a client and explain to them anything about finance. The client is going to look at you like, okay, wait, you want to go from showing me homes to tell me what to do about finances.
Correct.
What I'm coming across as a loan officer is mostly they either don't qualify at all anymore because they either lost their job, or they had to stop doing business, or their income stopped completely. So those are people that will have to revisit what qualifications they're going to have 3 months from now when they actually go back to work. So there's nothing we can do. However, the ones that still have income, that still have, work, their credit has not been affected. They still are able to pay their bills. They haven't used their savings for anything. They still have their savings. You ask them flat out, and they'll tell you, yes, I'm just waiting for the crisis to pass. That is what we're looking for right now. So what have I been hearing? You asked me, is people complaining about the same thing. I'm waiting for the crisis to pass. I'm afraid to buy right now. I don't know where the market is going to be 3 months from now. Should I buy? Should I wait? I still have good income. I still have my savings. I'm still paying my bills. My job was not affected. That is the client we're looking for. So those are not rebuttals. They're just telling you that they're afraid of losing any of the three that are important. They're afraid of losing their job, afraid of losing their savings, and then afraid to affect their credit by it. But those are the people you want to start working with. And don't tell them tomorrow we're going to find some houses for you to look at. Tell them, let's prepare you, let's teach you what's going to happen in the next few weeks, so that when the time comes and the crisis is over, you're ahead of the curve, you're ready. And trust me, they're going to start asking you different questions, but mostly the biggest objections I've been getting have to deal with the crisis. Other than that, it's just going back to basics, back to the old school same thing. I don't know the real estate field. It's my first time buying. I'm looking for this type of home. How do I know if I qualify? The same thing, the same questions. You just gotta, the old school stuff, the basic stuff, you need to know it like the back of your hand. And then the new stuff is just dealing with a crisis. And you tell them, if you still have a job, and your credit is still good, and you still have your savings, just get prepared. Worst case scenario, nothing gets better in the next 2 months. Hey, you lost no money. You just took advantage of the time, that I'm offering you to help you. If things are great 2-3 months from now, and everybody starts going back to work, guess what's going to happen to the market? You might have a good chance to negotiate for a better price. You want to be at the front, because if you start trying to get ready at that point, it might take you about a month or two to fully get going. You're going to miss out on the first few weeks.
Exactly. And let me ask you, are you consistently prospecting? What are the objections that you're getting, and how do you handle those objections?
I am consistently calling clients, whether there's new leads. If it's a new lead, it's a new lead. They're looking for information. Call them to give them information. What kind of information?
If they went online at some point and they looked at something, it's because they're interested.
They're curious.
Yeah, and when you call them, they tell you, no, I was just, they were looking. So they're going to hear you.
Exactly.
That shouldn't stop them from making the call.
And just have a conversation with them. I saw you looking, your information came through. out of courtesy, I need to give you a call. Even though, I'm telling some of my clients to wait, out of courtesy, I just wanted to give you a call. I like to sound surprised for the ones that tell me, oh, I was just looking. I wasn't looking for information. Really? Oh my God, I'm sorry. You know how technology works nowadays? Shows here that you were actually interested. What were you looking for? What were you browsing about? Oh, I was just looking at houses. Really? So you rent now and you're looking to buy. Okay, so ideally speaking, in a perfect world, without a crisis, what would you be looking for? And boom, you start your conversation there. You gotta create sometimes a hypothetical, perfect world. And they open up. I think that if you don't call every day, sometimes I try to push in a few calls on Saturday, a few calls on Sunday because I have kids, and my girlfriend goes crazy on me if I'm working already 10, 12 hours a day during the week. But if you call every day and you speak to at least 2 to 3 people every day, and you make 10, 20, 30 calls every single day, you're going to have at least 1 or 2 days a week where you're just going to feel like, okay, today I have the time, I'll throw in 100 calls.
And
And
that's
it's just going to feel natural.
how many calls are you pretty much making a day?
I don't expect anybody to be like me. I sit down and I do 25 calls in 1 hour. Then I go do the other stuff that I have to do, all the administrative stuff, follow up with people that I'm working with. And then when I know that I'm going to have another 30 minutes just doing mundane stuff, I throw out another 25 calls. And usually I like to be between 50 to 75 calls a day on a good day where I have a lot of time available and everything is on automatic, meaning stuff is in processing, or the clients are seeing houses already, and I don't really have that much in my hands. I try to do 100 calls.
So it's not a lot.
Yeah, it's more. I like to do them right now in time of crisis after 10 a.m. between 10 and 11. People are not busy because the kids are not home anymore, so they're not doing those calls. Hey, do you get to do your work? Your teacher, started a video, chat, because some teachers are doing now the video chat. So 10 a.m. they're a little more flexible, and also at lunchtime at 12, I like that window, which is almost time for that, and also between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. 5 and 6:30 sometimes.
So pretty much you took it back to a regular business day when this crisis wasn't going on.
I took it back to that for the simple fact that I'm not looking for the person that's sitting at home doing nothing. The person that's sitting at home doing nothing they already lost their job. They already lost their job, meaning they're either sitting at home because their company put them on leave on leave, and they might come back in a couple of weeks, but right now they're afraid to lose their job officially, or they might not be getting any income. So it makes no sense for me to have a conversation with that person. That person is going to be available at 10. That person is going to be available at 12. That person is going to be available at 6. Now, the person that is still working in this crisis, that still has to go to work, is because it's a necessity role. And that necessity role means that they're going to have a job 2 weeks from now. They're still going to have a job a month from now. The ones that are working from home are still going to be available around the same time. So I don't try to drive myself crazy and dial all day, because it could be frustrating. It feels like you're literally dialing all day. It just feels like that's the only thing you're doing. And when you look at your to-do list, yeah, you probably did everything else, but your body, your mind feels like you've been chasing people all day. And I hate that feeling. So what I do is I pick an hour in the morning, an hour in the afternoon, and an hour later before the evening, where I just knock out 10 to 15 calls. And if I'm on a roll, all of a sudden I do 25 calls. If I'm really on a roll, I do 50 calls. But don't stress yourself, don't drain yourself, because it takes attention. You need to have attention. You need to dedicate a specific focus time. And from years and years of experience doing calls, I learned that calling all day is frustrating. You might do it for a week, you might do it for 2 weeks, you might do it for a month, but eventually you'll get burned out. And when you get burned out, you will stop making calls for 4 or 5 days, And by the time you pick up again, it's like you're starting from scratch. It's like, you know that feeling when you go on vacation and you come back and you don't know what you're doing?
Yeah.
That, that's exactly what happens.
That first Monday when you get back.
Yeah, that you hate it. Well, the same thing with calls. So I would recommend, if it's just 20 calls a day, split it into two. Do 10 calls in the morning, 10 calls in the evening, done. You know, and then before you know it, 20 calls is going to feel like nothing. You're going to want to do 30. And after you start getting 1 or 2 clients, you're like, oh, wow, this works out. So you're going to want to do 50. And then what's going to happen is the one day that you feel like you don't have that much work to do, it will feel natural to bust out 100. It will feel natural to say, today I'm going to do 100. And that might happen once or twice a week.
Well, just wanted to share with you, we have David Curse on the meeting, and he just put in a challenge on the chat, and he says, who is willing to do 100 calls a day? So I want to bring him on. Dave, if you can chime in here. And I want to ask you.
Hey, brother, what's up?
How's it going? How's it? I was on your Zoom meeting. Awesome. Great. I mean, you guys kill it, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that, brother. Very much.
And I love what Vlad said about the questions that we ask is what makes us experts. That was awesome, man.
I think it's, there's a lot of things, but I like who's the speaker? I don't know his name.
Henry Nin.
It says like Nin or something like that on there. So I didn't know.
Was added,
but
William
I like
that, so William is at fault for that one.
Well, man, I'm tracking what he's saying because he says, I don't expect everybody to do what I do, but this is my schedule. So like, basically he just gave you the formula of what he does to remain successful. And, in the last webinar, if you were watching that one, where, Vlad was saying everyone knows what to do, but very rarely do they do it, and it's unfortunate because, all the information is out there, ladies and gentlemen, things like this, free, Guillermo's up here doing this for free. Andrina does it for free. I'm doing it for free. We're all volunteering our time, which we'll never get back, to give you solid information. That's why I put it on there. Who's willing to do 100 calls a day? And it's so simple. Who do I call? So grab your phone, go A to Z, everybody. And then when you get to Z and you finish, I got 4,000 contacts on my phone. For sure, it's going to take me at least 2 weeks to get through them, right? And that's going ham, and then when I finish, I'll start at A again. What are you coming with? Value, contribution. What can you give today? To the person who lost their job, it's still worth having a conversation with them, because what if you're a resource for them on foreclosure defense? What if you're a resource for them on a potential short sale? What if you're a resource for them on modification? What if you're a resource for them if they decide to get into the business and they want to do real estate with you? There's so many ways to be a resource. So I'm loving listening to you guys and talking about what you're doing. And I put the challenge up there because, very few people are going to take me up on the challenge. I hope I'm wrong. But very few people are willing to sit down and make 100 calls a day. So I applaud you for that big time. And it's a matter of action, man. It's a matter of doing what needs to be done and getting it done. Again, everybody knows what we need to do. This is not the first webinar. I bet you no one on here is a virgin webinar. Like, everyone's listened to somebody speak. Like, I tune into Grant Cardone. I tune into Tom Ferry. I tune into all these guys. I listen to what they have to say, and I absorbed and adapt to my business what I feel is right for my business, right? And so not everyone has all the answers, but everyone's giving you the answers. It's just a matter of getting it done, man. At the end of the day, it's taking action in your life and business, and taking control of your life and business. And those of you like Henry, who's putting in 100 calls a day, he's going to come out of this way ahead of most people. So important.
The first time I met Andreina, she kind of slapped me, and then a couple weeks later, you came into our office, and then you kind of slapped me as well. Andreina slapped me by saying, who's a business owner? And, kind of nobody raised their hands. So, if you're not treating this like your business, then, you're in the wrong place. And you said when you went into the office is, I don't mind saying all of this that I'm saying to you because I know that only 2% of the people that I'm saying this to are actually going to do something about it. So I think that's our main fall for some of the realtors that don't make it is because we don't do the stuff that we need to be doing.
100%. Adriana puts in so much work to give away so much information. And I mean, she's building websites with all the different trainings and webinars that everyone can attend. Like, get in as many of them as you can, but don't be a professional student, be a professional executor. And so when you get on these things, learn what you learn, take some notes, see what suits your business, and move forward.
Definitely. We have a person that wants to speak. I think you might know her.
Hey, Guillermo, how are you?
How you doing, Jen?
Good. This is great. I just wanted to add to everything you guys are saying. I think it's important to understand your market. We've said it so many times that right now, business is still moving. It's just a different market. And, for realtors in general, you guys have such an opportunity to help people who have lost their jobs, like David had mentioned, because they might have to sell in order for them not to foreclose on their property, or they, if they don't have the value in their home, they might have to do a short sale. But it's important that you understand that the business is out there. And I hate to put this out there, and this might sound like a very negative thing, but it's not. I don't mean it in a bad way. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people that are passing away. And there's a lot of estates that are going to come out of the blue that somebody is going to have to attend to. And people need guidance in this process. They're hurting. They're faced with a family member who passed, and now there's a property that they have to handle, and it's all happening so fast to them that they don't know what to do. So you need to get in contact with these resources, with an attorney that's going to help you with this process. Understand what it is to go through unexpected grief, and those things, and some of you may know, but I'm probate certified, and this is not an easy topic. You have to know how to handle this and not come off as you're trying to gain business from these people, because that is unethical. The whole concept here is to understand that we're an essential business, and we have to provide a service for people who don't have the guidance, that don't know what they're doing. You know what I mean? And this is something that we're going to be faced with, unfortunately, a lot in the next couple of months, until the market comes back to normal. So I wanted to add that tidbit.
No, definitely, Jen, definitely. And one of the first things that I learned when I became a realtor, and I learned this from the instructor, was that at some point you do have to have a human side, and you have to remember that you got to get on your client's shoes. It could be the feeling of buying their first home, so it's something or the reverse, or what you're talking about, somebody that just died, or they're going through a divorce. So you have to have that human side to it. It can't be on automatic or like robot, like you say. It's that subject that you touch there is it's key, and it is probate is gonna be, I don't want to say it in a bad way, but it's gonna be booming.
There's that, and divorces. I mean, a lot of people are faced with their significant other that they've avoided through work, and then now they have to deal with them for the next couple months.
Jen came with the doom and gloom for real, baby. No,
Sorry, babe.
But hey, listen, you're so right. It's the things that people don't want to discuss. These are the things people don't want to talk about, right? Because, a lot of people are saying, oh, how many babies are going to be born in 9 months, right? And which is true.
Well, that's
right?
another one.
Have a
That's
baby
another topic.
People need your house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then there's the flip side. How many people are stuck in a house with somebody they absolutely didn't realize up until today that they hate, and they're going to end up in divorce? And then there's the sad part, but sad but true reality. People will have losses of life, and those losses of life may directly affect the household income and how things were handled in the home. These are all very important things to talk about, and not to mention how many deeds were done improperly, how many titles are done and named improperly, how many things will end up in probate. It's a tough one.
Definitely.
Jen, do you still like being at home all day now with David?
You know, our house is big enough where he has his space and I got my space. No, but we like to hang out together. We're like two little kids. We sit down together and teach and work.
She's 4,000 square feet away right now.
And with regards to the, objections, you're going to get a lot of people saying that, they're waiting for the crisis to end. Guys, we're not in a real estate crisis. Yes, have we entered in a moment where now we've shifted to a buyer's market, like from one moment to another? This is an opportunity for buyers who are out there. Sellers who are putting their properties on the market right now want to sell. And they have to in more cases than others, which means that buyers have the opportunity now to come in with, we still have.
Jen, we kind of lost
buyers. Huh?
We lost you we lost you a bit.
That we still have loan programs available for first-time home buyers, and our interest rates are still really, really, really good, so buyers are still, if they still have a job, like the gentleman was talking about, if they still have a job, which, let's face it, in this virtual world that we have right now, a lot of people have been able to accommodate the business to be virtual, which is going to change our future. But essentially, right now, it also means that a lot of people still have a plan. You don't only have to be a nurse or a doctor to have a job right now, or a police officer. There are people still working and will move or have to move because their lease is over or whatever the case may be. But the point I'm making is there's not really a crisis. It's just a shift in the market. And at some point or another, we're gonna have to get back on the field, on the road, and everybody's gonna have to get back on the road because the government is not going to allow, the market to crash.
I love the way you guys, and Henry has also said this to me in the past. The way you look at it, you guys don't say crisis. You never use that word. You say market shift, and I think that's great because it's kind of getting. I'm not gonna say it's getting frustrating, but it's getting tired. But there is a crisis. There is something going on. But let's focus on the positive side of every situation. So I just want to point out.
There's a great book out there.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you because you were talking about shift. There's a great book out there. It's called Shift. It's written by Gary.
Yeah, I wonder who wrote
it. Gary Keller. Gary Keller wrote Shift.
Oh, okay.
And let me tell you something. He wrote it during the last crash, and the entire book was based around how to shift in different markets. What a fantastic book to read right now. Just, Lord, listen to the audiobook.
Definitely.
I made a note of it.
And here Guillermo thought that you were about to put your book out there.
I was waiting for him to throw it in there.
Listen. Book 3's coming soon, ladies.
There you go.
Stay tuned.
Go.
Shameless plug.
All the time.
Listen, if I don't sell my book, who else will? Seriously, think about it, right? You guys, we're talking about Henry getting on the phone for 100 phone calls. You think he's getting on there to say, "Hi, I'm Henry, bye"? No, bro. He's getting on there to sell his business, himself, his services. He's getting on there to help people. That's the deal right there. And if you're passionate about something and you want to help people, you give them everything they need.
you know, the good thing about Henry is he's done real estate before, so he pretty much knows how the business is run in and out. That's why I wanted to bring him on and you know, kind of talk to us. And it's good that, you know, that you joined and Jen has joined in, because I mean, it's a great panel to be around.
Yeah,
Henry, I know you had your time is limited, so
thank you very much. Yeah, I was gonna excuse myself, but also I wanted to add real quick now that you mentioned, I think it's beneficial. We do work together. You know, we're two sides of the same coin. So hand in hand, what you tell the client, you know, is reflected of what we tell the client. And sometimes before the person sends me any documents as a lender, they need to bond with you as a realtor. They need to want to work with you. And because they want to work with you is that they end up talking to someone that you recommend, like me. What I try to do is when you hand me this person is I treat them as a friend already. I treat them as if you send me a friend. I talk to them with that sense. I don't start the conversation cold. I talk to them as if they're a friend. Now, the experience that I had from real estate, combining it on the sell side to the lender side, is crazy because I started as on the lender side, got into real estate, which is the sell side for a while, and then came back to the lender side. What I've learned from both ends, and that I can give you guys that is going to probably help you out, is buyers do not know what they're looking for. One. Two, they have no idea the process that goes behind finding a home, getting an approval on the home, and basically, you know, getting it under contract, getting financing. They don't know. So when you call them, they're afraid because it's a world of information that they just don't know. No matter how much research they do online, they just don't know it. And if you talk to them with that mentality, as if you're teaching them the process, they're going to thank you. And the way they thank you is by continuing to talk to you on the second call, on the third call, on the fourth call. And what I learned is that we are teachers. We're teaching them something before they actually pull the trigger. Everybody, before they buy a home, they want to know everything about it. Am I getting the best rate? Am I looking for the right location? Am I getting the best price for the home? They want to become mini experts. And that's what you give them, you know. So if you can understand that as a realtor, when you hand them to me, they're expecting me to coach them. You know, you're telling them, well, we're gonna find the right home for you, your dream home. When they talk to me, they're afraid that that dream home is gonna cost them $1 million or two. So we have a relationship together. So when you speak to your client, keep in mind that all the information you didn't tell them about, you want to tell them the loan officer that's going to call you is going to explain that part to you, you know, so they don't feel afraid. They don't feel like they're, just out there to be gotten, you know, and that's going to create more like a friendship and more of an interaction. So that's the only thing I can tell you between combining experience on both ends is that everybody wants to buy, nobody wants to pay for it. So when you speak to a buyer, sell them in the dream, focus on that. Don't worry about the financial part. We'll handle that. Just continue to sell them in the dream. This is the right time to buy the home, period. Just cover the three. Employee is still employed, still have good credit, still have savings, and then just hand them off to me and tell them, listen, this is the person that's going to help you with the hard call, with the numbers. But trust me, once they speak to me, they're not talking to an accountant. They're talking to someone who's a human being that's going to tell them, relax, we'll get through this.
definitely.
And with that said, I'm out. Any questions real quick?
Does anybody have any questions for Henry before he goes?
I guess that's a no.
I guess not.
Till next time.
I want to thank you for joining us, and hope to keep doing business with you guys.
Thank you. Likewise, man. Thank you. Have a good day. Enjoy, guys.
Take care. So I just wanted to touch something that happened to me yesterday, and just so that people can see that business is still going on. I know it's a lot harder, but things are still happening. I called two people, like David said, off of my phone. because they texted me, and the conversation at first was just, hey, how you doing? How are you? We weren't really talking about real estate. I have two ladies that are in my contacts, and one of them, she lives up in Tampa, but she's going to be studying here in Miami. Her first thought was she's got to come down here for 3 days out of the week. So, her and her husband were talking about, renting a hotel or something for her to stay, but then they started doing numbers and they were like, why don't we just buy a property for the time that you're going to be studying there, and then when you're done, we'll just rent it out, Airbnb it, whatever. She called me this morning. They want to start right away. She needs the property by, she said end of July, kind of August. So, things are people still do want to buy. And the other lady that I spoke to, her daughter and her son-in-law, they want to buy. They want to buy a house between 300 to 400. They want to get started by the beginning of May. So things are still happening. Obviously it takes, I think a little bit more work now with the situation, but there is, like I said, people are receptive. People are still doing things. And like Jen said, like David said, like Henry said, it's a good time to buy. So I just want to point that out there. I wanted to share that with you guys, because I know a lot of people think that there's no business going on right now, and there still is. It's a lot harder right now. David, I know you and Jen are busy, but if you want to.
I'll leave you guys with a couple final thoughts, and then I got to take off. One of the most important things that you can stop thinking right now is that we're in a market crisis or a market shift. The market is not shifting. As a matter of fact, prices have not dropped. Do your research before you start saying bad things like that, because what you put out there is what's going to happen. What's happening right now is the amount of business that's being done is significantly less. The amount of business that's being done is down by 40, 50% year over year, not the pricing. Pricing is still good. So knowing that, I also want you to think to yourself that since April 1st, in the first week of April, okay, over 2,000 listings went on the market in South Florida. That's Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade counties, okay? 2,000 listings went up. There were almost 1,000 or so pending sales. Know your numbers, and then ask yourself, look in the mirror and ask yourself, how much of that market share do I own? And if you don't have any of that market share, it's time to get to work.
Definitely. And like I said,
thanks for always inviting me, brother. I'm going to take off, man. I appreciate what you're doing. You're an executioner, brother. You're putting it out there. You're getting it done. So hopefully one day you'll be looking at me and Adriana slapping us in the face about something we're not doing. So
I hope so,
keep grinding it out, man.
All I can take from you guys is this. I mean, this is awesome. Being surrounded by you guys is just great. So I want to thank you for joining. Does anybody want to say anything? Any questions? Maggie, do you have something to say?
No, I was just listening in. I
thought you had raised your hand. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I must have pressed something.
No, I'm sorry. Well, like I said, I do this every Wednesday. And I do it because I think we're even though we're, in a big industry, we got to help each other out, especially through these times. So I like to do this on a weekly basis. We're going to have guest speakers coming on. Today we had a great panel. I mean, having David, Jennifer, Henry, these are people that have been in the business for a really, really long time. And it's like they say, you just got to keep working. You got to keep grinding. I know things aren't moving, that fast, but they are moving. And like David said, 2,000 listings went up. That means, things are still happening. Right? Does anybody want to chime in, say something? If not, I know you guys got to go, so we'll wrap it up.
All right. Well, thank you, Guille. This has been amazing. It was a great panel today. I always tell you how impressed I am from the first day that I met you to today, how you've taken, you know, everybody's guidance. You have been that 2% that actually does everything that you've learned. If they show you the path, you actually like go and get it done. So like David said, you are an executioner. You're not just the best student out there. You really have gotten it together. So, you know, keep it up. Continue to be as consistent as you have been from January 6th that we met. We have an anniversary date, right? And you know, keep up the great work.
Thank you, Andrina.
It's amazing.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, DJ.
I appreciate you guys being here. All right, guys. Well, take care, stay safe, and let's keep grinding. Let's keep working. Take care, guys.